gang that was working for Democrats, the Awan brothers, essentially a criminal gang that was working for Democrats on the Hill in the House of Representatives, connected to Pakistan, that despite warnings from their own internal IG, were allowed to continue to conduct their criminal behavior. In fact, the ringleader, the Awan brother ringleader, was left in position to cause even more damage by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who employed him, even after he ran into law enforcement problems. There were indications they were logging on, hacking democratic systems, taking information off of democratic systems in the Hill. They had access to all sorts of information, including the members on the intelligence committees and other sensitive committees. They were stealing equipment. They maybe had access to your personal information. Just think, a lot of members of Congress receive calls from members of from their constituents who have problems with getting government benefits and other things. That's called constituent services. Congress thrives on, that's a major issue for Congress. Congressional offices spend a lot of time and effort on constituent services because incumbent members want to take care of their voters, show that they're doing something for them. So you can imagine all the personal private data that is on these computer systems on the Hill. All could have been compromised as a result of this Awan brothers scandal. And the Pakistani connection, where they were going in and out of Pakistan, in fact, there's a video we have out, maybe we can provide another link to it. Did you know that they were actually doing IT support out of Pakistan remotely for the Democrats? 40 members. And Luke Rosiak, who works for the Daily Caller News Foundation, reported this week, and he's been the reporter who's done much of the legwork on this story, reported that they kind of bypassed all of the background checks to let this group work. So they come in, they're hiring their family, not even performing the work for which they're being paid, just scandal on top of scandal. So this news story this week reinvigorated the whole concern. Now two of them at least are under indictment, Awan and his wife. I think there may be others. But this criminality is going uninvestigated largely by the House. They don't want to expose what went on. And when I talk about hacking, doesn't that ring a bell? Doesn't Debbie Wasserman Schultz ring a bell for you? She was head of the DNC. Remember those DNC hacks that were blamed on the Russians? Was there a connection to this Pakistani group? Was there a national security issue here? I think Congress is afraid to find out. But we're not. We have FOIAs, but it's going to be difficult to get information while these investigations supposedly are, quote, ongoing. But the House can do their own investigations. Chris Farrell did a thorough report on this. He got into more detail than I have time to get into. It's on our YouTube channel. He just did it this week as well. But he's right. You need to call your members of Congress and ask them about this Awan brothers scandal and why aren't they investigating what went on and whether Democrats covered up the criminal misconduct of their staff while they were stealing taxpayer dollars and abusing the trust of the American people. So we're on top of everything. Well, we're not on top of everything, but we're on top of everything that you might want to be concerned about. And as always, we just don't come on and talk about it. We work on it. In the case of the Awan brothers, Judicial Watch had to sponsor a meeting on Capitol Hill. It wasn't a formal investigative committee. We worked with Louis Gohmert, the great congressman from Texas, to get at least an informal meeting so that we could have a video coverage of it and a full discussion of this scandal on Capitol Hill. And again, that's available on our channel as well. But Judicial Watch is literally doing the work of Congress up on the Hill on this key scandal.
me and the process that you're going through to develop it. That would be great. And then lastly, I'd like to know how Capitol Police handle equipment that belongs to a member or a staffer that's been lost within the Capitol complex and found or recovered by one of your officers. What happens?
Sure. Well, it's processed on a what's called a PD 81, which is a property record. And depending on the property, depending on how if you can legitimately determine ownership, then it's generally turned back over to the owner of the property. If it's part of an ongoing case, then there are other things that have to occur for that to happen.
So if a member says that they have equipment that's been lost and you find it, it would be returned to the member?
In a general sense, yes.
Okay.
You have to identify. You have to be able to positively identify the property and be able to establish ownership.
Right. And if ownership is established,
if it's part of an ongoing case, then there are additional things that need to be done.
but if the member owns the equipment and there is no ongoing case related to that member, then the equipment is supposed to be returned.
Right. In a general sense, yes.
No, I mean in a specific sense. If the member loses the equipment, says they lose the equipment,
Yes, ma'am.
and it is found by the Capitol Police, it is supposed to be returned.
If ownership has been established,
Right.
it'll be returned. If it's subject to an ongoing investigation, there are additional things
Okay.
that need to be turned
But
over.
not an ongoing investigation related to the member. If the equipment belongs to the member, it has been lost, they say it's been lost and it's been identified as that member's, then the Capitol Police is supposed to return it. Correct?
Well, it's not I can't give a yes or no answer on that because I know.
It's a simple
more
yes or no
parameters.
answer.
Well,
If you if a member loses the equipment,
Yes, ma'am.
and it is found by the Capitol Police or your staff, and it is identified as that member's equipment, and the member is not associated with any case, and that is their equipment, it is supposed to be returned, yes or no?
Depends on the circumstances. And if the circumstances are.
I don't understand how that's possible. Members' equipment is members' equipment. Under my understanding, the Capitol Police is not able to confiscate members' equipment when the member is not under investigation. It is their equipment, and it's supposed to be returned.
Well, I think there's extenuating circumstances in this case, and I think that, working through my counsel and, the necessary personnel, if that in fact is the case, and with the permission through the investigation, then we'll return the equipment. But until that's accomplished, I can't return the equipment.
I think you're violating the rules when you conduct your business that way, and should expect that there would be consequences. I yield back.
Gentlemen, thank you for your testimony today. Chief, Assistant Chief, we let you off easy. Chief, you answered all the tough questions, but we appreciate both of your leadership and service to our country. We appreciate